Hey leaders, it's Easter week. I wanted to just touch base with you. Thanks for your time at the mentor meeting on Sunday morning. Thanks for your efforts serving over the weekend. This week is Easter week, and we all have family style services on the weekend. So enjoy that time with your kids, enjoy it with your friends, whatever your Easter plans are. And just want to say thanks again for all you're doing with student ministry. A couple quick calendar issues that we want to give to you is June 10th is going to be our transition Sunday. We're actually going to move it up earlier than before school year is out. We'll still do a preview night for the incoming freshmen in May, but you'll hear more about that in an email shortly from me in the next couple weeks. Attached to this email is a devotional like usual, but also another, I'm not giving you a tip sheet because the tip sheet on Sunday is the one I want you to kind of focus on. With that, the tip sheet goes with the challenge of trying to spend one-on-one time with two different students in the next 30 days. Look at the tip sheet. Let me know if you have any questions. And when you meet with the student, give me some feedback. Let me know how it went. Let me know how the conversation went. If there's any questions that come up that you want to bounce off me. But just invest, spend some time with them. And taking on that mentoring role doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes it just takes that one or two initial conversations to kind of set the stage for something pretty significant later on. But one of the things with Easter week I wanted to remind us all of is what Easter is. It's the resurrection. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's maybe some of the churches I've been around, but I actually think Easter hasn't been really highlighted the way that I read it in the scriptures. And I think sometimes Easter for a lot of churches is a very busy season because of the amount of guests, like it's a Christmas event that come through. But one of the things I love is Paul, and I'm going to read it off my computer screen. He says in 1 Corinthians 15:17, said, if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile and you are still in your sins. And I've loved that verse for a long time because that whole chapter 15 that Paul writes in 1 Corinthians is just, I think, a rad one. He says earlier, if there's no resurrection from the dead, then Christ hasn't been raised. And if Christ hasn't been raised, then our preaching and what we're doing, it's in vain, and our faith is in vain. He even says we're misrepresenting God, because if we're testifying that Jesus rose from the dead and he didn't, then we're misrepresenting the gospel. We're misrepresenting the good news of what God has for us. And I love that progression, and that's just something that when we talk about where is Jesus in this and you fill in the blank with a student, a big part of that comes from the resurrection. It comes from that part of us that says God rose from the dead. He defeated sin. He conquered death for our benefit and the love he has for us. And students need to be reminded of that. Like, the resurrection isn't real in a lot of students. They don't jump at that word. I think part of it is because even some of our teaching time doesn't rest around the fact that God rose from the dead. And that's a significant thing that we need to wrestle with personally, but it's also something that students need to see in us. They need to see a live and vibrant faith based on the resurrection, not off moral management, not off church attendance, but off the fact that Christ rose from the dead and there's a life transformation happening. Sometimes I think the traditions of Christology is what it is. It's traditions, and that students feel that. And so maybe in a one-on-one with conversation, maybe one of your one-on-one questions is, hey, what do you think of the resurrection? Like, just ask them that and get their feel for it. Let the awkward silence be okay. But just get their take on what the resurrection is, and feel free to share what your take on it is. But thanks for serving. Thanks for doing what you're doing. Obviously, there's an email that came with this link, so you can look through that. And you guys have a great Easter. However I can be praying for you, let me know. Thanks, guys.